Buenos días. Felicidades a la Feria Internacional del Libro de Guadalajara. You're right to be proud of the fact that you have the second largest book fair in the world. That's a wonderful achievement, and I know that it is a great week in Guadalajara. I was very honored to be invited to deliver a video message to open the humanist meeting, which you have been holding in Guadalajara since 2004. The theme of this year's meeting is the chains of thought, school, church, and media. And I know that you're going to be reflecting on the contribution of each of these institutions and sometimes the barriers that may arise from these institutions. I've been asked to talk about the role of human rights and the role that these institutions can play in the defense of human rights, and sometimes the need to break out of chains if they inhibit full expression and full enjoyment of human rights. Sadly, I have seen too many situations where human rights are not respected, and it is extraordinarily important that we find better ways to address these issues. Sometimes there are crises that arise from conflict, and I saw that in Latin America, especially when I was serving as UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. But I also met brave human rights defenders who were working in very difficult circumstances. And who were they? They were teachers, they were religious leaders, they were lawyers, they were community activists, they were brave women facing real difficulties in asserting their rights. So human rights defenders are those who come from the institutions you're discussing, including also, of course, the media. Sometimes also crises arise that are partly natural and partly man-made. I'm thinking in particular now of climate change, which is being caused by the greenhouse gas emissions that we are responsible for, also land degradation, cutting down trees, etc. I have seen this in so many countries. I have been very affected even in a recent visit with my fellow elders to the Middle East. We learned that Egypt imports a third of its food, but food prices are going up very rapidly, and that is causing a huge problem. Nearby, in the country of Syria, the crisis is, of course, appalling killing of ordinary civilians. In Yemen, there are as many as 5 million people who are food insecure. So in different parts of the world, in different parts of Latin America, the rights that we call economic and social rights are being undermined by climate. This was what brought me to establish the foundation in Ireland that I now am president of, the Mary Robinson Foundation Climate Justice. We have been working on food and nutrition security and access to energy for the very poorest. Now we have launched, with the World Resources Institute based in Washington, D.C., a climate justice global dialogue, the Climate Justice Dialogue. We invite many of you participating in the book fair in Guadalajara to join with us. We want to have civil society and business involvement in the fact that we need to change the narrative on climate change and make it about people, make it about those who are very vulnerable and are not yet climate resilient, on the need for the rich countries to mitigate. And that includes countries that are emerging economies in your area, like Mexico, like Chile, like Argentina. They have to play their role. But also, it means that we need more attention to adaptation and to transfer of technologies, to have clean technology for the poorest, and they will take themselves out of deep poverty, and also to have financing which is fair and equitable at the level of global climate decisions. So I would love you to think, when you're thinking about church and school and community and media, to also think about the impact of climate on your discussions. And I wish you well at the book fair this year, which is part of the wonderful achievement of Guadalajara. Muchas gracias.